Do you wish you could clutch up when both your teammates get knocked? Or are you always one of the first ones on your squad to go down? Well, I hate to say it, but good, because in this video, we're doing things a bit different. I'll be analyzing several clips of mine to show you what you need to do to not only stay alive, but more importantly, clutch more fights. So let's get into it. Going into a fight like this one where it occurred outside of my line of sight can be tough. So the first thing I do is I ask my teammate how many are still up. He tells me he knocked one, but Newcastle is rezzing. So I use some of my abilities here to see what I can do, and then I realize they're in a confined area, so I spam some more grenades in here. Bloodhound will swing me, giving me a 1v1, which is ultimately what I want. My teammate is telling me that Newcastle's reviving at the same time I'm fighting the Bloodhound, so I know I have a brief 1v1 opportunity. And by the time Newcastle finishes reviving, yes, I have to fight two people, but they're both presumably fairly weak from all of the things that have transpired beforehand. So although it is still a difficult task, I'm able to win it. Communication, abilities, and isolation were all key factors in me winning this disadvantaged fight. Now, anytime you're completely alone in a trios match, well, it's always going to be much more difficult to win and take fights like that. However, a goal you should strive for is to try to third party, and that's what I was trying to do here. And somehow, as I was patiently waiting here, these guys heard me. I want you to pay attention to the cover that I abuse on this box. Now, it almost doesn't matter because Horizon and I trade a similar amount of damage, but I know I don't have any time or space to do anything else but continue to fight. As I'm fighting, I know that Horizon and Fuse are going to continue to push me here. They have strength in numbers. I'm still abusing this cover, and I'm using my Mastiff to try to output as much damage as I possibly can. I then riot drill the corner of the box so that I can buy some space and time to not only try to heal, but also I'll know if the third guy is going to turn the corner on me. Now, that does happen. I am able to get that bat off though. However, what I don't like here is my positioning. I am trapped in a corner and the Bangalore can peek me at her leisure. So I take a shot and then I throw a thermite down. This is going to force her to move. I can then reposition and abuse more cover here. As I do that, I repeat the Bangalore because I have high ground. Despite me being lower than her, the advantage of high ground here is key. Then I continue to heal. That's one thing I want you to focus on. There will be lulls within a fight at times, and you want to take advantage of those so that you can heal. Bangalore was not doing the same thing as I was, meaning she was not healing during these lulls. She was trying to find angles, but she wasn't doing a great job at it. So I use my abilities and then I push her. The two reasons I push her here is because we're getting shot by a third party that is way off in the distance but could still affect the fight. But also I was keeping track of the fact that she hadn't healed and I had. So I was gonna play off that to my advantage and be more aggressive here. She was not being as aggressive as I thought she could have been, and so I've turned the tables on her and tried to take advantage of that. Now, for all the people who think YouTubers only get into bot lobbies, let's take a look at a ranked match. Now, we were getting approached by a couple different teams and things started to unfold fast. My teammate got beamed unexpectedly, so I looked to cover for him shortly after I used my seer ult. There is a lifeline on this door, and I get in a quick 1v1, and my teammate also helps there. I take a lot of damage, so I instantly start healing in my teammate's knockdown. I know this is probably the safest place for cover because there's so many angles at this building. So now that we have a 2v2, it's good to catch a breather if you can and full heal. But I can hear that the lifeline is getting revived. So I complete my medkit and I send out my tactical. It cancels the revive. However, my teammate swings and I try to help with an arc star. This isn't as effective as probably shooting my gun would have been, but I wasn't sure where the third was quite yet. The Bangalore drops, but then my teammate gets shot by the third player. I have to 1v1 him, but I can't do it from low ground, so I quickly get up there and I am successful in that. I'm looking for one more player, but I'm not looking towards the north. I was expecting them to be on the west or the south of the building. I get stuck on crypto and then I instantly climb to height. I climb to height because I know the third legend is a Bangalore. If she's gonna get to height, she has to climb too. And hopefully my teammates would communicate that to me and I would also hear the Bangalore beneath me. But I know I need space and time here. I'm very low on health. I need to at least get a battery on, but I probably need to medkit too. However, another issue that arises is my teammates say that Bangalore is reviving. I had to decide, do I try to cancel my battery so that I could cancel the revive, or do I complete the battery and see if I could still cancel the revive shortly after? Well, you know what I decided, but it didn't really work out in my favor as the revive got completed. So So I know I have to medkit, because what I think's gonna happen at this point is Bangalore completed the revive on Lifeline. Lifeline will heal and potentially even revive Crypto, and Bangalore will push me while that's going on. I need to be full health and full shield in order to take on what I believe is going to be the beginning of another 1v3. Now, I could have highlighted the importance of aim or playing my teammates' knockdown shield, but I really felt like where this fight got tilted in my favor was the decision to fully heal and to not panic, even though the odds that were stacking against me were not going to be great. The fact that these guys pushed me one at a time was their biggest mistake, and I made them pay for it. When you're in situations like this, it's important to try to stay calm and seize the moment if the opponent is giving you something to work with. How many times have you gone to respawn one or maybe even both of your teammates, and once you do, all hell breaks loose? Well, I've certainly been there before too, and that's what we're going to take a look at in this clip. This whole area of Olympus can be very difficult to navigate because of the extreme high ground that this POI offers. I was hoping my teammates would follow me low ground so that any potential threats on top of this waterfall could be avoided by just getting underneath them. However, I was quickly met with a stimming Octane, which honestly threw me by surprise. I am able to 1v1 him, but I do start getting shot at by his second teammate. Now, during this, both of my teammates elected to go onto the waterfall, and it did not turn out well for them. So as the second enemy pushes me, I take some damage and miss some shots. The best thing that I do here is I get underneath this Horizon once she takes high ground from me. The Horizon is not going to be able to abuse her height angle because shooting straight down on me is going to be very difficult, but also I can match her by just shooting back up at her. By completely cutting off her line of sight or by just making it not as good as it could be, it's gonna make her think about dropping, and that's what I want her to do. I'm kind of making her fall into my hand. I'm like, yeah, you got this high ground, but I'm gonna make it really difficult for you to capitalize off of it. And she's gonna get impatient, so she drops, giving me what I want. And at the same time, I'm using my downed teammate as cover, and I one-clip her. Horizon also made my life quite a bit easier because she left the game, making my armor swap that much easier to get as I anticipate the third player dropping from height. I kept in mind that Loba got down shortly after my first teammate got down, so I knew that the third was somewhere in that vicinity. And as she drops on me, we get into a sweaty 1v1 battle where she is playing the tree as cover, but I am using it as well. I then reload, send out a decoy, and I am able to down her once she starts to panic because she realizes that I have dealt way more damage than she has. Now let's go back for a season and revisit Kings Canyon. This was during the season 14 rank split, and we had just finished a fight and we quickly got pushed by a Bloodhound and a Seer team. My first thought was I need to reposition. This is not good positioning to be in for where I think this team is pushing me from. Now, in case you're wondering why this isn't good positioning, well, if you look here at my teammates scan, you can see how close this enemy team is to one another. My team is much more split up. One of my teammates is inside of this building, the other one is behind me on top of diving board, and I just got Seer queued. So they know my location, they could push my teammate in front of me without me really being able to do much about it, and our third teammate is on high ground, so if we could get to him, it would be the best play. We would then have high ground, and we would all be grouped up. I think that's the better play. However, the Seer queue cancels my portal, my teammate gets aped because he is the first one closest to this three-man team, and it starts to get pretty crazy. So during my portal, if you notice, I set it down the zipline shaft, and that way if one guy got antsy and took it, he would probably fall down that, at least splitting them up temporarily. I needed isolation. Remember that. That's been a common theme throughout this video. And luckily, isolation is what I got. The first thing I gravitate towards is playing the door. Doors are something that highly skilled players know and learn how to use very early on in Apex because it's sort of a skill gap. You will create cover on the fly and you can learn to severely outplay your opponents, and that's what I do here. It's essentially opening the door, shooting, outputting a ton of damage. It's also very helpful to have a shotgun in a fight like this, and then closing the door to create more cover. Being evasive is essentially my goal as I take bouts on 1v1ing each player. Now, there's really 4 things that I think about when it comes down to winning any disadvantaged fight in Apex: space, time, positioning, and numbers. More specifically, how many do we think we're fighting in total? Space refers to the space between the enemies and yourself. Time refers to how long you may get when you find isolation within the fight. And how much time do you get to armor swap or reposition and heal? Positioning is everything, because you'll rarely, if ever, win a disadvantaged fight in Apex if positioning isn't on your side and in your favor. And the numbers of enemies is crucial context for how you gauge to navigate and utilize the 3 prior things I just mentioned. If you're only prepared to fight 2 enemies because you thought the third one is still knocked and didn't realize that they got revived, well, you will probably play it in a different way that won't be as safe if you knew all 3 enemies were up when you went into that fight. Now, this is a fairly simple way that I've learned to break down these complex battles in Apex, but honestly, none of this will matter if you're still making these 10 big mistakes that nearly every player suffers from. I covered it all in this video here. Check it out next. Thanks for watching. Peace.